What is going on, everybody? We're back here, and it's freaking week 11. My team isn't playing, obviously. The Jets aren't playing. But football season goes on. So I've got here this special thing that I'm supposed to read off of, and it's this weird piece of paper. Oh, look at that. Week 11 picks. So here we go. Get right into it. Thursday night football to open up the week. Actually, it's actually a game that could go either way, but it's interesting because I feel like I feel like this is one of those games that Pittsburgh is at home, Titans at Steelers is the game. Steelers are home. I feel like it's one of those games where for some reason Pittsburgh goes off. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Like the last 3-4 years, it's been like Pittsburgh's had this game, 1, 2, 3 games in prime time or something like that, and they have one of those prime time games where they make you believe them completely, right? You know what I'm talking about? Where they just go off. Everybody gets 2 touchdowns. Bell gets 2 touchdowns. Brown gets 2 touchdowns. Roethlisberger has 5 or something like that. I feel like this is one of those games for Pittsburgh. It doesn't really matter the opponent sometimes, it seems like. It's always a team from that division, though, whether it's the Colts or the Titans. But I got Pittsburgh winning this game, and a big one. The first Sunday game actually intrigues me, Lions at Bears, because normally you think, normally that game goes on Thanksgiving. Detroit usually plays Chicago. Sometimes they play Minnesota, sometimes, some other team, but usually it's Chicago. But that's next week. They missed it by a week, I guess. But, it's in Soldier Field, 1 o'clock start time. I like Chicago in this game, to be honest with you guys. I feel like Chicago's headed in the right direction. Definitely are. I really think Mitchell Trubisky's done a great job of really taking control of the opportunity he's been given and taking advantage of it in Chicago when the team really doesn't have anything. I like Chicago in this game. At home, 1 o'clock start time. Detroit almost lost to Cleveland last week. I don't know what's going on with the Lions, man, but they're really disappointing me and a lot of their fans. So I like Chicago in this game. Jaguars at Browns, the next 1 o'clock game in Cleveland. You want to talk about one of the more inconsistent teams this year, arguably the most inconsistent team this year that's actually in the playoffs, is Jacksonville. And I feel like this is a game they're gonna struggle with this game. It's always tough to play in Cleveland. I don't care what anybody says. It's always tough to play in Cleveland. It's not always tough to play Cleveland, but to play in Cleveland, they're always going to give you a fight there for some reason. And I think the Browns are back with Kaiser again. I'm not sure. In Cleveland, 1 o'clock start time. That was creepy. I like Cleveland in this game. Cleveland by a field goal. Jacksonville fans are gonna hate me for that. Ravens at Packers, next 1 o'clock game. Baltimore, I think Baltimore's coming off the bye week actually. And Green Bay, God, I know that, I talked about this last week. I sort of hit on it, but when you were that's one good thing about being a Jets fan, man, is we don't rely on one player to keep the team from winning or losing. It's all of the team if we lose. All of it. Whenever we lose, it's the whole team. It's not because of one player. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, last year, Fitzpatrick throwing 6 picks in one game didn't help us, but, I mean, typically with the Jets, it's the whole team. I like the Ravens in this game coming off the bye week. Green Bay had all the hope in the world, all the chances in the world to prove me wrong that they could still win at home with Brett Hundley at quarterback. I think the first one was against the Lions, and they got destroyed, like smacked. I feel like Baltimore's going to do enough to win this game. I'm not sure if Flacco's back yet. I think he is. Let me know in the comments below if Flacco's playing or not, because I'm not sure. But I like the Ravens in this game either way. I like Baltimore and the Russian attack to win this game. And their defense. Defense is under the radar defense. Tampa Bay at Miami. The game rescheduled from week 1 of the actual season, where the Bucks and the Dolphins got delayed because of the hurricane that was going on down in Florida. This is a good game. Believe it or not, actually, this might actually be one of the better games on Sunday, because you got Jay Cutler against Ryan Fitzpatrick. A lot of people say, "Oh no, that's so boring to watch." Trust me, it'll be interesting to see who screws up more in that game. But Fitzpatrick always struggles down there in Florida, and Miami, I mean to say. Yeah, Miami's at home. They're going to do enough to win this game. Much as I hate to say it, being a Jets fan, Miami's going to win this game. Cardinals at Texans. God. Another team. One freaking player. Well, actually, I'll take that back. 2 players. J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. Out for the season. And they can't do anything. Trade DeAndre Hopkins. Get a high draft pick, and get a offensive lineman for one. I don't know why so many people are drafting skilled players. You can have the worst skilled players in the league. If you have the best offensive line in the league, you're going to win games no matter what. If you are good on both sides of the football, on the line, in the trenches on both sides of the ball, don't listen to what anybody tells you. You're going to win at least 7 games every year. Every year, it's just, you can do so many things when you have an offensive line that's clicking and a defensive line that's getting after the quarterback. So, I like Arizona in that game, by the way. And this game, by the way. Adrian Peterson going to Houston. It's sort of an indoor stadium. I feel they're going to lean on him in that rushing attack against that beaten up defense of Houston. And they're going to win the game. Big time. Rams at Vikings, the best game of the week, in my opinion. You got the 2 of the best teams in the NFC. I think it's the 2nd and the 3rd seed right now, because Eagles are number 1 with 1 loss, and they're going to stay number 1, I believe, all the way. And then you got the Rams at 7-2, and the Vikings at 6-3, I think, or 7-3, something like that. Something like that, but the Vikings have won like 6 in a row. It's crazy, and they just killed the Redskins last week in Washington, basically erasing the Redskins' hopes for the rest of the season. And that game's actually up next, the Redskins game. But I think it comes down to the front sevens, a matchup of the front sevens. The Vikings front 7 against Gurley, and the Rams front 7 against McKinnon and Murray. So, because Jared Goff's a good quarterback, that Vikings defense is as good as anybody's defense. Maybe the best defense in the league, to be honest with you guys. Just from a an overall, defensive standpoint. I like the Vikings to win this game because of that. I feel like they can do enough to confuse Goff with their looks, as they've done to, Kirk Cousins and different guys they've played this year. And more notably, like I said, this game is between the 2nd and 3rd seed, so this is going to be huge for standings. And I think Minnesota, being at home, being that it's in Minnesota, the Rams are traveling all the way across country over there, that's not going to make it any better. So, yeah, I like the Vikings in that game. Redskins at Saints. 4 o'clock start time, I believe. It might be 1 o'clock, I'm not sure. I think it's 1 o'clock. You got Redskins team that has only won one of its last 3 games, 4 games, something like that. That one win being in Seattle a couple weeks ago. I actually got to see that game finish. Crazy. And now Richard Sherman's out for the season for the Seahawks because of what happened last week on the Thursday night game against the Rams, I believe. Or the Cardinals. But a Redskins team that literally, like I said, it's on its last limb right now, and if it can't get a win this week, with only 6 games left, after that game. You know, and I think they've got the bye week, so maybe only 5 games. You know, it's do or die. It's do or die time for the Redskins. So, but they're going to play New Orleans, who is thriving off of its dual running back, you know, attack with, I think it's Ingram and Kamara. I think that's his name. Can't remember them. Always mess it up. But anyway, everyone's like, Breeze carries this team year in and year out. Breeze this, Breeze that. This year, it's more Marshawn Lattimore, that defense. And that dual rushing attack is really impressing a lot of people. And they've done some great things. And they actually just got an interesting thing about the Saints. I was reading the story yesterday. They picked up Mike Westhoff, former Jets special teams coach for 12 seasons. They picked up Mike Westhoff, and he's working with that special teams. I don't know what exactly his role is, but he's one of the best special teams coaches out there. And to be, you know, I think he's 59 years old, something like that. To be at that age and to be able to get, you know, another shot, you know, he jumped right on it. So kudos to him. You know, I wish the best for Westhoff. You know, the Jets haven't even had a special teams return touchdown ever since Westhoff left in 2012. I find that very interesting. So I saw that today. I was like, wow, really? Of course. Yeah, it's do or die for the Redskins going to New Orleans, Superdome. I just don't like this matchup for Washington at this time in the season. I know it's do or die time, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put on another performance. Like I said, they proved me wrong when they won in Seattle a couple weeks ago. But this Saints team is playing ball on another level right now. And I don't think the Redskins defense has enough pieces. I know they're beating up on that offensive line, for God's sake. But the other side of the ball, on the flip side for the Redskins, the defense is beating up bad. Like injuries all over the place. But, yeah, I like the Saints to be able to edge this one out. Chiefs at Giants. What? Wow. Kansas City cannot ask for a better situation to be in right now. They've lost, like, 3 of their last 4 games. Or 4 of the... Yeah. 3 of their last 4 games, yeah, Kansas City. And everyone's counting them out and saying they don't believe in Kansas City no more. This is a get-right game for them. To be able to go play the Giants, man. They got to come back to that stadium actually in a few weeks and play us, which I'm excited for. A lot of people ain't, a lot of Jets fans ain't, but I'm excited for it because it's redemption from last year. That 6-pick game, it's not happening again. But this is Kansas City all the way this time. Oh my God. Yeah, Kansas City's been killing. All right. Buffalo at Los Angeles. Breaking news today out of Buffalo, out of what is it? I don't know what they call it. New era. I don't know. Buffalo bench is going to bench Tyrod Taylor in favor of Nate Peterman. I think that's his name. Rookie quarterback, pocket passer, sort of a dual threat guy, but mainly likes to sit back there and throw the ball. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's interesting that they're doing that, you know, being that they're in the 6th seed right now. And, you know, it's really not Tyrod Taylor's fault entirely that his team has lost the last 2 games. I'm pretty sure the quarterback doesn't allow 47 points to the New Orleans Saints team and a 34 points to the New York Jets team. Just my thoughts on that. But anyway, they're going to go with him into Los Angeles to face the Chargers and Phillip Rivers, who have lost a lot of close games this year. Do not let the record decide who the Broncos are. They should have won that first game against Denver. They should have won a lot of games. They should have won in Jacksonville this past week. I like the Chargers in this game to edge the Bills out by a field goal. And they're going to catch the Bills while they're sleeping. Melvin Gordon's going to be able to take advantage of that Marcel Darius-less defensive line of the Bills and run all over them like the Jets and Saints have in the last 2 games. And prove to the Buffalo organization that it's not Tyrod's fault the team has lost 2 in a row and got blown out twice in a row. It's that defense. I like the Chargers. Bengals at Broncos. There's a lot of people picking Cincinnati for this game, and I'm not sure. I guess it's because the Broncos, well, obviously it's because the Broncos have gotten killed the last 2 games against New England and Philadelphia, respectively, allowing 40 41 from New England, and 51 from Philadelphia. But listen, people, this Cincinnati team is far from explosive, far from dangerous. You got AJ Green out there fighting guys. I think they lost again last week. The Bengals lost again last week to somebody. They play last week? I don't know. I know Cincinnati's terrible this year though. You know, regardless of last week's result. So and I don't really know what it is. You know, it's one of those things I just can't point out. You know, maybe it's injuries. Something I need to look more into. The whole problem with Cincinnati, man. It's just like it's like dysfunction ever since, you know. I think you still got Marvin Lewis. But they've got a new offensive coordinator. You know, after the first couple games of the season, the offense starts to look good and look better. You know, they go into Green Bay and they dominate Green Bay. You know, score-wise until halftime, and of course Aaron Rodgers and his crazy comeback and they win. But like, I haven't heard anything from Cincinnati since, man. I think it was that Pittsburgh game that might have flipped them a few weeks ago, and it really killed their season. Lost a couple close ones too, but Cincinnati's a whole different side of dysfunction. And going to Denver, you know, ignore the last game. Please ignore the last game against New England. Andy Dalton's not Tom Brady. Marvin Lewis is not Bill Belichick. That's all I need to say. That's all I need to say. Bengals are going to lose this game. Von Miller's going to have a good day. Denver, even if this is the last game Denver wins the rest of the year, they're going to win this game. I guarantee you. I guarantee you, anybody. Patriots at Raiders. Actually, not at Raiders. This is in Mexico. This is the Mexico game. I don't know if there's another Mexico game the rest of the season, but I know this is one. And that being said, I like New England. If it was in Oakland, I would have liked Oakland. You know, at least to cover the spread and maybe not win the game. But I like New England in this game. New England's rolling, and I hate to say it, but it looks like they're on their way to another freaking AFC title, man. Hope my Jets can slide in there in the playoffs, because I know we can beat them if we slide in there. I know we can beat them. I don't want to hear the negativity, people. Patriots win this game, though. Eagles at Cowboys, Sunday Night Football. No Zeke. No Cowboys. No playoffs. No Ezekiel Elliott. No chance. Dallas was like a completely different team last week, and I told everybody, I was like, it is Ezekiel Elliott that is carrying that football team. At the beginning of the season, when he was about to serve as suspension, I said, if he does not play, you guys do not win a single game without him. Why would you wait until the end of the season to accept that suspension, to finally give up? Wait till the daggone holidays start and the playoff implications start rising. And now Dallas is screwed big time. I like Philly in this game by a lot of points. Sunday Night Football. It would surprise me if Dallas hung around in this game, to be honest. Eagles win. Last game of the week, and I got to get to it fast because I'm at 18 minutes. Falcons at Seahawks. You know, obviously, like I said, Richard Sherman got hurt last week on the Thursday night game, 10 days ago, I believe. Ruptured Achilles, out for the season, awful injury. You know, Richard Sherman's actually known for being one of those vocalists from last season saying Thursday night games are awful. You know, they kill players. You know, they kill the preparation time. They throw everyone's schedules off. You know, that could also play into the way these guys play. They go out on the field playing so aggressive. Why? Why do you play so hard? Why do you play so much harder, so much more aggressive? If you know you haven't had a recovery time, you know you haven't done this, why are you playing so reckless? And I feel like Richard Sherman really put himself into a bad spot, you know, so he got hurt, you know. Obviously not excuse, it's obviously a bad thing, it's an awful thing to hear, but, you know, both sides played into it. Anyway, in this matchup, I like Atlanta. The way I've seen Washington go in there and win when Richard Sherman was playing, Earl Thomas not being in that secondary, and I've said it since the beginning, when he first got hurt, I said Earl Thomas being out of that secondary is the worst key, is the most important key to that secondary and the worst loss Seattle could ask for. Earl Thomas, he's just like a field general back there, man. He just commands everything like the quarterback. So I like Atlanta to win this game. A lot of people don't agree with me, and that's fine, but Atlanta showed me a lot last week. You know, obviously they're playing Dallas, who didn't have their running back. They're weak this year, but I feel like this is Atlanta's step in the right direction, and I like them to win this game, whether it's by 1, 2, or 3 points. I feel like the Falcons' offense just has enough, just has more than that Seattle defense has, and more than Russell Wilson can keep up with, but we'll see what happens. Good slate of games. I'm going to go through my picks one more time. I got the Steelers winning against the Titans, the Bears over the Lions, the Browns over the Jags, the Ravens over the Packers, the Dolphins over the Bucks, the Cardinals over the Texans, the Vikings over the Rams, the Saints over the Skins, the Chiefs over the Giants, Chargers over the Bills, Broncos over the Bengals, Patriots over the Raiders in Mexico, Eagles beat the Cowboys with Sunday Night Football. Bad game. Falcons win in Seattle, Monday Night Football. That's my week's 11 picks. And as always, you heard it first.